Ah, America, the land of opportunity, the melting pot. It is indeed a land of opportunity, but not many people realize just how expensive it can be to come across these opportunities. More like the melting pot of your finances, because living in America would surely leave a burning hole in your pocket. However, some states are way more expensive than others and leave way larger holes than others. If you're trying to get even more broke than you are, or you just have a ton of money to burn through, these are the top 10 most expensive states to live in for 2021. Number 10, Rhode Island. Living on an island isn't so expensive, or at least that's what the movies tell us, but it turns out Rhode Island is one of the most expensive states. With a median home price of $480,000 and a median rent of $1,510, you'd either be living in your car or a tent down the road. Utility prices are about 36% higher than the national average, while grocery prices are 8% higher. Oh, and don't even try to fall sick. The cost of healthcare is 7% higher than the already astronomical national average. Overall, the cost of living in Rhode Island is 22% higher than the national average, which means your account won't be so happy if you moved here. Number 9, New Jersey. Don't let the beauty of this state fool you. New Jersey is a notoriously expensive state to reside in. It could make you cry, and it won't be tears of joy. If you want to move to New Jersey, be ready to cough up well over $400,000 for a home, or $1,200 for a studio apartment. The cost of gas alone would make you love public transportation even more, and the grocery shopping would make you question your life decisions. New Jersey also has the country's highest property tax rate, which means your troubles don't just end when you buy a house. And unless you're some wheeler and dealer on Wall Street, the average salary just isn't going to cut it. Number 8, Connecticut. If you're considering moving to the Nutmeg State, then you'd better have a stack of money lying around somewhere, because while the quality of life is fantastic, you're going to end up paying through the nose just to be able to live a basic lifestyle here. From basic stuff like utility bills and groceries to major expenses like housing, education, and healthcare, you're going to need to be raking in some big bucks in order to foot these bills and still have some leftovers for the delightful seafood that the state has to offer. A family with 2 kids needs anywhere from $90,000 to $120,000 per year in a standard Connecticut city to live comfortably. Yeah, it's not exactly what I would call cheap. Number 7, Maryland. If you're a crab cakes lover, Maryland is the choice state, but be prepared to pay an arm and a leg for this ultra delicious delicacy. This is because despite Maryland being the major supplier of crab cakes, it still has to import crab meat. Now you can imagine how expensive other stuff might be. The home market in Maryland is about 20% higher than the national average, at a median cost of $300,000, and rent isn't any better at nearly $1,200 per month. Utility bills aren't so expensive, but other costs like transportation and healthcare would ensure that you have nothing to spare at the end of the year. The most expensive city to live in Maryland is Potomac, with a 56% cost higher than the national average, followed by Bowie at 55.9. Number 6, Oregon. Oregon's beautiful landscape might attract you to the state, but the cost of living will definitely make you think twice before putting the keys into your new home's door. Rent in Oregon is anywhere from $1,100 to $1,500, and don't even think of buying a house unless you have $350,000 to $450,000 lying around somewhere. Now, the utility bills shouldn't be too much of a problem, but the high tax rate is 9.9%, and that's enough to give anybody a headache. Healthcare costs alone are 18% higher than the national average, which means getting sick can easily make you go bankrupt. Oregon's economy is growing steadily, but jobs are super hard to find, and the average income is only about $45,000, In comparison, you gotta have at least $65,000 to live comfortably in this state. Number 5, Alaska. Alaska. The last frontier. It is indeed the last frontier when it comes to your finances because after paying all of your bills, you would be on the border of bankruptcy. It is the 5th most expensive state to live in the US, and there's kind of a real reason too. Being that Alaska is the farthest state in America, that means that transporting things up there is a big challenge. Because shipping and transport is so expensive, it's ended up driving the cost of everything so high, from lumber to gas and even finished products. Because of how isolated it is as well, groceries aren't cheap, and it's not homegrown. All the cold and darkness in the state also ends up driving the utility bills so high that you'll end up going bankrupt pretty fast. Number 4, Massachusetts. Massachusetts is one of the fastest growing states in America, and with such a high number of schools, it's also one of the most educated. So this means that the population is high and the residents of this state earn some pretty big bucks. If you think that's good news, think again. These factors have ended up causing a high demand for things in the state, such as housing, education, food, and healthcare. When there's a high demand for something, the prices would naturally soar, so it's not surprising that the cost of a house is 70% higher than the national average, and rent is 4 times the price in states like Arizona. If you don't have anything that's at or above $50,000 to spend on yourself every year, then you might want to remain where you are. Number 3, New York. New York is not only one of the most expensive states in America, but it's also one of the most expensive in the world. That's why more than 1.5 million New Yorkers are living in poverty, and quite a good number are homeless too. The cost of living here is astronomically high, and not only because there is a massive number of people clamoring for limited accommodations, but the cost of construction is also very high, which forces landlords to raise the rent. An average house costs a little under $2 million, and the rent is pegged at or around $3,300 a month. If you have a craving for a New York steak, you better kill that craving with some chips or be ready to pay 70% more than the usual price anywhere else. Number 2, California. This state is not named the Golden State for nothing. You have to be Midas himself to be able to live here comfortably and enjoy the finer things of life. California is home to big cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco, and you should know by now that nothing comes cheap in these places. Starting from the average monthly energy bill of around $250 to the incredibly high gasoline prices and expensive groceries, it doesn't take long to find out why people are leaving in droves. Oh, and don't even get me started on the housing and rent. Be prepared to spend more than half of your yearly income on housing, with rent prices that are 3 to 4 times higher than the national average. But hey, on the bright side, you might get to see some celebrities drive their flashy cars and not even notice your existence. Lastly, number 1, Hawaii. Hawaii is arguably the most beautiful state in the US, but with great beauty comes great financial responsibility, and there's no escaping that. To live in Hawaii, you have to make at least $120,000 every year to afford the cost of living that is almost twice the national average. The income tax rate is pegged at 11%, making it one of the highest in the country. Groceries cost 60% more than the national average, but hey, on the bright side, at least you get to choose from a wide variety of tropical fruits to eat. The electricity bill is the highest in the country, and gas isn't cheap either. To be a poor man in Hawaii who's just getting by, you need nearly $94,000, which is twice the national average salary. In other words, if you're not either Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos, stay in Mississippi or something. And that's it for our top 10 most expensive states to live in America for 2021.